It's a very ordinary day in Hobart today. I think I might brew a beer. G'day guys, welcome back to the Beer Hero Shed for another brew with Brewie. Really looking forward to this one today because today's beer is an India Pale Ale by the name of Hopus Pocus. And check this out, the hops that we're using: Magnum, Mosaic, Simcoe and Citra. How good does that sound? And check out the big fat batch of dry hops we're going to be using too. So really looking forward to brewing this beer. This is a Brewie pad that's come from the guys via Grain and Grape. Thanks again to those guys. Brewed a couple of my own recipes just recently. Had varying degrees of success. Still learning how to step up from the old system into this more fancy new system at Brewie. So I'll still keep plugging away at trying to refine those recipes. And thanks to everybody who's helped me out with that. But today, let's get the Hopus Pocus away. Alrighty, so we got everything in the Brewie, all the hops are in there, and they smelled sensational. I've got to say, this has got a lot of hops in it, this brew, so man, I cannot wait to try this one in a few weeks' time. But while that's doing its thing, let's just digress a little bit and talk about fermenting and yeast and all that sort of thing. I've had a couple of little issues lately with temperature, etc., in trying to ferment my beers. And in some of the comments I've been reading, there's talk about using, the dry yeast. Should you hydrate it first, or should you just sprinkle it over the top? There seems to be two trains of thought that, some like it and some don't. So for a long time there, I was hydrating my yeast and then pouring it over the top because that's how I'd seen others do it and just was copying it. And then since then, I've gone back to sprinkling over the top, but haven't had some great results. So this time I'm going to go back to hydrating, but really interested to see what you guys think about how you use the yeast and what sort of results that you've got. Now, while this is brewing away, I'm just going to take you over the back here, and we're going to have a little bit of a look at a side project that I'm getting involved in very shortly. If you listen really carefully, you can hear the Brewie filling up behind us. Don't know if you can hear that or not, but the automatic water inlet has just started filling up, so the brew is away. Now, while that's doing its thing, let's talk about my new little side project. I have had some issues recently with fermenting. It's just started to get a bit colder here. It's now autumn down here in Hobart, and you can probably see my breath actually this morning. It's quite cold. So where I previously had been fermenting my beers, which is in the cupboard to my right, it was fine across the summer. But now it's gotten into the winter, I've noticed that some of my beers have been really stalling with their fermenting, and I've noticed that some of the beers have gotten down to below 12 degrees Celsius, which is probably not great for the yeast, where you want to be up in around the 16 to 18 mark for these ale yeasts. So it has prompted me to do a side project, take the wife's old wine fridge and turn it into a temperature controlled fermenter. Now today I'm going to run a little test with it just to see how cold this fridge does get, because I know the reason that my wife doesn't use it anymore is because the wine that comes out of it isn't cold enough for her to drink. She likes pretty cold wine. So I'm going to do a bit of a test, just chuck some water in there and leave it for the day and see whether it'll get down to low enough temperature to allow me to use this as a fermenter. The little mini fermenters that I use fits 27 litres. Fits pretty snugly in here, but it will fit in here. I've got a heating belt, or I might have to purchase a heating pad to make this happen, and then buy one of those temperature controlled things, which I've seen on kegking.com.au, little plug there guys, for around about 80 bucks. So pretty inexpensive, and when I've sort of invested in Brewie and everything I'm doing here, why not try and take the next step with my fermenting and make that move to a high level as well. So anyway, if anybody's got any tips around how to set one of these up, or mistakes that they've made, or things that I should be doing, leave a comment, because I really would love to know, because I'm an absolute novice with this side of the brewing. So I'll let the Brewie do its thing, and we'll check back in on it soon. Ducked in from doing my jobs in the yard just to check on the mash. Let's have a smell. Oh, that smells so good, so good. Let's take a quick look right now. We've finished our mash and our sparge. You can see the grains have been drained off into the left hand side tank there. You can see some water, some wort still coming through there. You can hear the Brewie pump pumping away, working itself out. Alrighty, so now that Brewie is getting itself up to its boil, I'll hydrate my yeast here. The US-05, we'll spill a little bit there. It's all cool. In the little tub here I have some water at around about 20 degrees. So I'll chuck the yeast in there, give a little swirl around and let it mix on in for when we're ready to pitch that. Now, got my handy thermometer here, so what a great segue. While I'm here, I'll check the little mini wine fridge here to see how it's going as far as cooling this glass of water. It's getting down below 11 degrees, so it's only been in there for a couple of hours. I know it's not a lot of water here. It'll be very different with a whole fermenter full of wort in there, but this is getting down below 10 degrees now, which is great. So happy days. I reckon this little beast here might be able to be converted over into a fermentation chamber. Good stuff. The hop addition's now going in. Alrighty, so that wort's just finished boiling now. We're getting ready to cool the wort. Now last time it took around about 10 minutes I think to get the wort down to the target temperature of 21 degrees, which I thought was pretty bloody impressive. I'm not 100% sure how much water it used in doing that, so this time I'm going to collect the water and just see how much it uses, because I know that might be of interest to some of you guys out there who have, you know, maybe on tank water or in water shortages or whatever the case may be. So let's see how much it catches. Filled 2 garbage bins to 50 litres, so about 100 litres of water to get that wort down to cooling temperature in around about 10 minutes, which is lightning fast. Very happy with that. How does the water usage compare to your brewery at home? I'd be interested to see, so leave me a comment and let me know. So the last little step that Brewie does is a bit of a sedimentation rest, gives it 10 minutes to let it drop down through to the bottom of the container here, and then when you drain off, you can drain off everything but the bottom section of it, so that you don't get all that gunk into your beer. Now what I'm also going to do today is just try a little bit of a test. I'll just rig this little thing up so that we're going to just drain off through my strainer and see how much sedimentation I get through into that. Give you a bit of an idea of the kind of sediment that the Brewie leaves behind in the bottom. Alright, so we'll call that about 18.5 litres into the fermenter. So I don't know if I've shown you guys this before, but I live next door to the bush, so I've got stacks of wallabies and other wildlife living next door to me. So what I usually do when I'm finished with my grain, I simply tip it over the fence like this, and you watch. Tomorrow I'll come back and check it, and that whole pile will be gone. Alrighty, so this wort is looking great. Let's get out our yeast that we hydrated earlier. We'll tip that in. How good is that? Give it a little bit of a rock and roll to aerate it, and then away we go. Well, there you go, guys. There's another brew day done and dusted in the beer healer shed. Hopus Pocus, the IPA from the Brewie pad, all sorted. So I'm really looking forward to this one, going into the fermenter, whacking in those dry hops, and then tasting it on the other side. I think it's going to be an absolute ripper. Look, with these videos here, I just try and add different stuff in each time, try a few new different things. So if you want to see something else that I'm not showing you, drop me a line, leave me a comment, and I'll look into it for next time. But look at Tui Talk again in the beer healer shed for either a brew with Brewie or maybe a beer review. Cheers to great beers.